They said, let's make the biggest and the baddest racetrack in the world, and they did it here. 2.66 miles, 33 degrees making.
3 wide, 4 wide, coming out of turn 4 and into the tri-oval.
We will see laps run this race well upwards of 190 miles an hour when these cars get hooked together.
They're moving back and forth. Jockeying for position as they go down the backstretch.
That was incredible.
As they spread out once again, 4 wide.
This looks a little bit ominous right here.
Problems, a hard hit.
Kids put their helmets on and back away from the TV because it's going to be that wild. It's going to be a great show.
Nothing is predictable when you come to Talladega Superspeedway. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menard is about to go 94 laps for the ARCA Racing Series 250 from Talladega Superspeedway on speed. 16 hours ago when we were supposed to start this race, there were tornado warnings in the area. Today, 53 degrees, sunny, and a little bit breezy, 14 to 18 mile per hour winds. One race into the season, take a look at our point standings. Bobby Gerhart, so impressive on super speedways. Got his 7th win at Daytona, his 8th career win. He sits atop the point standings. Chris Buescher, Matt Merrill, Ty Dillon, and Joey Licata rounding out your top 5. Now let's go trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. I'm down on the grid, and when you see the car right here, Tom Hessert's number 52 lines up 3rd. But if you look at the qualifying results, you would think that this is where the 12 car should be. Mary-Eve Defoe actually qualified 3rd on Thursday afternoon, but she had an illegal intake manifold. So she'll go all the way to the tail of the field and try to work her way forward. If she gets up here, she'll have to contend with this guy, Ty Dillon, who's on the Ansel pole award presented by Menards. Congratulations, it's your 3rd pole in ARCA. Tell me about what you learned at Daytona that can help you keep this 41 car up front today.
I think the biggest thing is going to be having to stay on the bottom. We came off the bottom too early at Daytona, lost a lot of spots, and kind of put us in a couple bad spots. And the car is still fast enough. We came out with 11th place finish, so definitely not going to come off the bottom today, and see how many laps we can lead.
All right, be interesting to see if he can keep this one on the bottom and at the front. Now let's check in with my broadcast partner, Bob Dillner.
On the front row is the same front row as Daytona, Ray. Both Ty Dillon and Kyle Fowler, the Venturini Motorsports cars, looking pretty good. Kyle Fowler on the outside of the front row. Scott Lagasse in a Venturini Motorsports car. The last time you were in it, you were in Victory Lane back in 2008, but this came together just about 4 days ago. Why don't you tell me about that conversation with Billy Venturini?
Really, it was a lot of the same conversation we had back before the Chicago deal. It was Billy called, and I had one question for him: Billy, can we win? And he said, yep. So it was a very simple answer from me. We'll go do it. So I'm excited. Really good race car. Venturini Motorsports in their group is just great. We've got Lauren Bryant, country singer, on the hood today. So it should be a fun day for us.
Scott Lagasse looking for Victory Lane here. The other Venturini Motorsports car lines up 11th with Hal Martin today, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Welcome, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you for this early morning edition of ARCA Racing. Now, Phil, we heard a couple names early that you always hear when you come to super speedways. Bobby Gerhart and Venturini Motorsports.
Yeah, they're awfully strong here. As you mentioned, Bobby Gerhart, 7 wins at Daytona, which is a sister track to this, and probably more so now than ever with the new paving job in Daytona. And you have Frank Kimmel. Between Gerhart and Kimmel, 43 starts here at Talladega, but you have a lot of young guys here with no starts or very few starts. Talk about Ty Dillon. This is his first ever start here. Sat on a pole at Daytona.
How about young Brandon McReynolds making a start here at Talladega in the number 4?
Been very impressive here. Also ran here last year, so he has a little bit of experience. So it's a real nice mix between the young, inexperienced drivers, like a Ty Dillon and Brandon McReynolds, and the experienced guys like Kimmel and Gerhart. But we had a teenager, Dakota Armstrong, who's in this field, won this race last year. So there's plenty of room here for inexperienced and experienced, and they will be all over this racetrack 3 and 4 wide.
And there is nothing that is predictable when you come to Talladega Superspeedway. Stay with us. When we come back, the green flag will fly. It's the ARCA Racing Series 250 from Talladega Superspeedway.
The 2011 ARCA Racing season kicked off 2 months ago at Daytona International Speedway. This was the first stock car race to be run on the newly repaved surface. Leading the field to green was rookie Ty Dillon.
In his very first race in ARCA, he won the pole and finished second. His next 2 starts, he went to victory lane.
Kyle Fowler in one of those Billy Venturini cars on the outside of the front row. We have 2 18-year-olds on the front row making their first start ever at Daytona.
When Brett Hudson cut a tire on lap 5, 6-time Daytona winner Bobby Gerhart took advantage of the caution.
They just came into the pits to put fuel in that car. That may be their one and only pit stop.
Tom Hessert spun on lap 20, bringing the rest of the field to pit road. Gerhart stayed out and took over the lead. It wasn't until under 20 laps to go that a cut tire led to the big one.
Oh, trouble.
Got a tire down.
It looks like the tire goes down also to 25.
You're wrecking behind you. 55 cut a tire. That's what the smoke was. 25 went with them. Yellow is out. Big mess over there. Big mess.
He knows right there. You hear the tire go. He knows he's in trouble, and here comes the rest of the gang piling in.
All the caution laps allowed Gerhart to conserve fuel for the final laps.
Here comes Buescher with some momentum.
Coming out of
Gotta
turn
run.
4. Bobby Gerhart. Chris
try.
Buescher. It's Gerhart winning for the 7th time at Daytona.
7 times here in 24 starts.
They needed caution laps, and that's exactly what they got.
When you came in on lap 5, how confident were you that you could make it all the way?
Not very, to be honest with you. Some things had to go our way, but got to take a gamble now and then, and we took a gamble.
And the gamble paid off for Gerhart as we're about to get underway with the second race of the 2011 season. It's the ARCA Racing Series 250 from Talladega Superspeedway. Bobby Gerhart has 8 career wins. 7 of those wins have come at Daytona. The 8th win came right here at Talladega. Take a look at our starting grid on the pole. Ty Dillon once again. And Kyle Fowler will start on the outside.
Looks a lot like the front row at Daytona.
Tim George Jr. and Scott Lagasse Jr. making up row number 2. Scott Lagasse Jr. has won in the ARCA Racing Series. He's won behind the wheel of the car that he's driving today, so he's hoping that he can get back to victory lane and have success here at Talladega.
Great qualifying effort for Milka Duna. Qualifies in the 8th position in Patrick Shelter's car. Joey Coulter full-time in the Truck Series this year.
Brian Silas driving the number 98. That's actually an Eddie Sharp entry for Brian Silas, a little bit different than what he's been running. And Bobby Gerhart, obviously one of our favorites, will start on the outside.
Matt Merrill had a great 3rd place run at Daytona earlier this year. He's back in the 12th spot.
Back in row number 7, Chris Buescher, the young man who has gone to victory lane a couple times already in the ARCA Racing Series, looking to find victory at a super speedway.
Starts outside of Dakota Armstrong, our defending winner of this race.
Peter Bork in the number 6 will start 16th on the field.
Grant Enfinger always runs extremely well here. He was leading this race on the last lap last year and ended up 6th.
Phil, this racetrack, you're very aware. You've gone to victory lane here. It's daunting in the fact that you have such high banks and high speeds, but it's not so much physical as it is a mental race.
You are mentally exhausted after a race like this because you have to be aware of what's going on. You have a lot of help from your spotter, obviously, but you have to know before you make a move, you have to know if somebody's there, if they're coming where they're looking. By the end of this 250 miles, these guys will be emotionally spent.
And again, we'll see speeds upwards of 195 miles an hour in the pack. You see the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Frank Kimmel has been to victory lane here at Talladega. Has never won at Daytona, though. Let's take a look at the numbers for Talladega Superspeedway.
As you can see, 2.66 miles, and that extra 0.16 miles bigger than Daytona is a huge difference here. This racetrack is extremely wide. You see it's banked more than Daytona, 33 degrees. The tri-oval banked 16 degrees. That's more than a lot of racetracks, and man, is this thing fast.
Our race analysis for today's race: 94 laps, 250 miles.
The critical part of this is the pit window, 55 to 60 laps. We documented that Bobby Gerhart went 75 laps at Daytona by virtue of all the caution laps. Same type situation could happen here. If this race goes green, then you're looking at 55 to 60 laps. Each caution laps adds a lap to what you can go.
We'll be riding along with a few different drivers, one of those being Benny Chastain. He'll start 35th on the field today.
We're also going to ride along with Pierre Bork. He's in the Revolution Resources Fight Network Toyota for Eddie Sharp Racing.
Chris Buescher will carry one of our cameras. He's won twice. Both races coming at Toledo today. He starts 14.
We're also going to ride along with the 55 of Hal Martin. That's another Venturini Motorsports car. That's the NOLA Motorsports Park Toyota, and he will start 11th.
We ride along with Joey Coulter as well. He was 21st at Daytona earlier this year. He starts 7th today. Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, in the early 80s when I started coming to Talladega, it was all Davey Allison in the ARCA Series here at Talladega. He won 4, and then Grant Adcox took over. He went to victory lane at this track 5 times. And then in the late 90s, we saw Tim Steele dominate at this track. But the last 13 times they've run ARCA races at this particular track, a different winner in each of them. And today, my prediction is that number expands to 14. I think the 41 car, Ty Dillon, will dominate today's race on his way to his first victory of the season and maybe setting up a good run at the 2011 championship. Bob Dillner?
Ray, one of the guys that I want everybody to keep an eye on today starts in the 6th spot. Brandon McReynolds. He's the son of former NASCAR crew chief and one of our colleagues, Larry McReynolds. Well, right now, Brandon McReynolds, a good race car driver, is rideless this year. No rides on the short tracks, no rides in the NASCAR big time. So this is an audition for him. He says he needs a good run today. He's in the Turner Motorsports car and looking very good today for the ARCA Racing Series.
Green flag in the air. We are underway with race number 2 of the ARCA Racing Series.
Have RCR teammates lined up on the bottom of the racetrack, Ty Dillon and Tim George Jr.
Field spreads out early as they enter 1 and 2. The preferred line around this racetrack right at the bottom, the double yellow lines. They can't pass below that double yellow line. They can go down there, but they can't improve their position.
And remember, there are a couple different philosophies on how to run this race. You got people like Ty Dillon that want to be up front. Then you have other guys that want to drop to the back in the event that it may be a big one.
At our first super speedway race, it was Buescher that followed Bobby Gerhard around the racetrack. Didn't take the opportunity to get out and challenge him, but we know now after he has a race under his belt on a super speedway that he will be challenging for the win here at this super speedway.
And we always have to keep an eye on that Bobby Gerhard. Right now, Bobby
running back in the 9th spot.
Back in the 9th spot in that lead draft. Sitting on the inside of the car, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet. As Matt Merrill, the 32, right behind him.
Ty Dillon led the first lap as he did in Daytona. Ty Dillon was dominant early on until pit stops took place, and that's how he lost the lead. And then he had to work his way to try to get back up to the front, but could never get there.
And it was very challenging to pass at that newly resurfaced racetrack at Daytona.
A line forming at the bottom of the racetrack. Stuck on the outside right now on his own. Looks like the 25 of Scott Lagasse.
And I think these drivers are playing it smart right now. Let's get some laps under our belt here. We've got 94 laps here. We're not going to win this thing in the first 5 laps. I think Scott Lagasse would love to be down on that inside line, in line, but he can't get there yet.
Door to door with Dakota Armstrong right now in that 22. Still on the outside looking in. There's a gap in front of Dakota. Problem is Scott Lagasse can't get to it.
There's a little help coming from behind. Looks like Milko Duna in the 63 car.
And Superguard 63 of Milko Duna also on the outside, trying to catch up. See if 2 cars can work better than the pack. If they can hook up. We saw that at Daytona. We haven't seen a lot of it here. A lot of people don't know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, the bumping deal and the pushing deal like the Cup Series doesn't really apply that much in this series. Again, these guys and ladies don't really have the experience that the Cup guys do, obviously. And these cars are a little bit different. The new Sprint Cup car is a little bit different than this old style car. This is basically the same car that we ran 4 or 5 years ago in the Cup Series.